Well, hmm, first of all we need to get the M2 file of the cow that we are going to be working with. I'm going to grab a cow from, let's say, Legion, but any expansion or the file version that is below below the build that introduced TXID is fine. You can even do it with TXID if it actually has all the IDs fixed, but I'm going to do it with the cow specifically just because it's most well, the cow itself is, there is no reason for cow, just you suggested it, but I'm going to use it from Legion because Legion does not have TXID. There are no annoying chunks and stuff, so let's just go with just one, and there it goes. I do not need texture for it, so I'm going to leave it there. So right now I'm going to open the 010 editor and remove the first 8 bytes from the beginning of the program, and I'll change the version to 10.01, which is basically, well, Warlords of Draenor. From now on we can go into the Blender. Not Blender 2.80, 2.79 is the version. Okay, so let's be ready to import M2I, which we are going to create right now. We will be using M2 Redux as always. Preset is set to Warlords of Draenor. It can be done here in the settings. So let's roll. There goes the path, there is the M2I, let's import it, and there it goes. There is our cow. I'm actually going to hide everything right now, and let's show the camera. I can delete those. Okay. If we are attaching the saddle and the head, we always need to get the 3D model of it. So let's get into the WoW model editor. I mean WoW model viewer. There it is. Bonk. Let's say wizard. Human male wizard. Yeah, it kinda has the wizard head that we could actually use, so I guess that's fine. Well, why not? Let's just use it. Export the model. That's pretty easy. And we will also need the horse. That one is pretty complicated, we need something more simple. Maybe if I just try to search for saddle. There it actually is. This is pretty basic saddle, but like it would do. This one is much more pretty. Yeah, let's go with this one. Export the model to the object. Same folder. Here it goes. Right now we can pretty much import the object of the wizard. Let's hide the cow for now and all of the armature, and let's treat only the wizard. So the only thing that I really care about now is the head itself, so I can Since the head itself is the geoset free, we can just select all of the remaining ones and delete them. And I think I should also start a screencast. Yeah, now it's showing the keystrokes. Anyway, as for the wizard hat, let's just remove all these geosets. Okay, I'm not able to select them all. Let's try and remove the doubles first. Yeah, that worked. Remove the faces, but there are some remaining stuff in here. There it goes. Now we have the head only. In order to get it on the cow, we need to rotate it first correctly. 90 degrees would be fine. And let's pose it somewhere here. I'm intentionally editing this in edit mode. I mean, moving it in edit mode and not in the object mode, because that would actually move the origin file from the middle, which is not something that should be done. It will only make a bonus stuff in the game later. So let's just move the head in edit mode like this. Okay, so edit mode helped us a bit, and now I'm actually seeing like the texture of the head is kinda this one. Thing is, since the head is using a texture from the WoW itself, we can simply try to find out where this texture is right now. I mean, if we would find the M2 file, we could just search for the texture it's using, but in this case it will be much faster if I'll just search for the texture on WoW tools, and nothing came up. There are some skins. Let's go with percent BLP, it will sort it. Okay, there is a skin 1. How does it look like? Okay, that one is blue. That one is the orange one that we are using, so we have the O2 skin. But I would like to use the blue one, for example, so we can copy the whole path and slap it in here. Now the thing is that the WoW tools is using slashes, but WoW is working only with reverse slashes, so let's reverse them. Control Alt Q is making reverse slash on the keyboard. Copy everything from here, and let's go into the settings of the head, custom texture, hard code it and insert it. And let's also set the blending mode to opaque and check the two-sided. Right now we need to remove all the vertex groups. There are none, because we have used the OBJ file that doesn't have vertex groups, so then we don't need to remove these. We need to rename the UV map to texture, so it's actually same as the cow, texture and texture. It needs to be identical, and right now we can select the head and select the armature, Ctrl P, armature deform. Now we need to rename the mesh to be like this, mesh 0.001. So it's actually a submesh of mesh 0.0.0.0. As for the material, let's remove that. So we have the head in position. The head is actually part of the armature right now. It's like deformed by the armature, but we also need to have the head moving when the armature is moving, especially when the bones are animated. So I will go to the bones, and there is nothing to see here. I need to go to the armature. There is the X-ray and sticks. It's for me, so I can better see it. There is the bone in the head, we can use that one because it's moving the whole head. So let's just select the head, Control Tab, and right now let's go to the wireframe mode, and in tools there is the painting. Strength and radius is to maximum right now, so let's keep it that way and let's paint. If I would go with the weight paint 0, I would unpaint it actually, so let's set it to maximum and we can go back from here. Alt Z, or just Z, will return us back. Right now the head is deformed by the head bone and it will animate smoothly. There are the bones here that seems to be near the eyes, or at least it's near the ears, so we can use those later for the particles. Let's insert the saddle. So there should be the Frostwolf saddle 01. It's actually two meshes, I see. Oh, seems like there are two of them for no apparent reason, but whatever. Rotate it and pose correctly to where it should be. Like if the cow is white, you can just assign texture to it too, but I'm kinda too lazy to go search for it right now, so I will just set maximum preview to solid. And the saddle seems to be a bit incorrectly shaped, so we can remove the doubles, and that kinda ruined it, to be honest. So when I'm in the edit mode, I can see that these planes are glowing more bright than the other, which is indicated that they are overlapping, and yeah, they are, because I've just picked one face and it's obviously overlapping. So if I select this one, yeah, bonk 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 bonk, not this one. Yeah, I can remove all of these right now and it still stays here because it's doubled. The double thing is because Blizzard does it that way and there is no reason to do it honestly, so I'm just going to remove it like this, and when it's removed we can go remove doubles. Now when I have removed the doubles I can switch to vertices and not face editing. Grab the vertices of here and here. Let's enable the project proportional editing. Press S for scale. Adjust the size by the mouse wheel and move it closely. Like this. That looks pretty good. Can select these two as well. We'll actually decrease the deformation by a bit. But yeah, it's like it's getting into place a bit. But I think this is good. There is no need to play with it a bit more. Maybe this on the back. This could be also deformed. Yeah, like this. Yeah, this can work. Okay. Saddle is in position and we once again need to actually get the texture path of the saddle. So I choose the same method as for the wow tools. It's the texture that we were looking for. Yeah, it seems like it is it. Again, we need to fix the reversed slashes. Hardcode, Insert the texture, blending, opaque, two-sided. Because we have removed the faces on these of these parts, we actually need to do the two-sided thing, otherwise these parts would not work anymore properly. It would be visible only from one side. Anyway, saddle is in position, so is the head. Now, right now we need to get the saddle deformed. Let's check the vertex groups. Yeah, UV map texture needs to be removed. Saddle. Select the saddle, select the bone, Ctrl P, automatic deform, and let's rename it to. Let's renamed to 002, which is fine. And yeah, there is also the material. We don't need that one, we can delete it. Right now we need to deform the saddle. I mean, rigify it. Let's do it from the side view. And we need to go into the weight paint. I prefer the wireframe. And let's also go into the pose mode of the armature and then select the saddle. So right now we are in the deformation. The thing is that this bone actually is not moving anything, so we can hide it. Yeah, this one is doing something. So the problem is that there is no bone that is like right in the middle, but the closest one is here on the back. So we can paint it using this one. Weight paint up to 1 is fine, but I'm going to decrease the strength to 0.02 and paint everything of the saddle right now. So yeah, now it's not getting deformed. Ctrl Z, I'm going back. I'm going to enable the see-through. So, yeah, now it's deforming everything, but it's not like 100% fine. So let's paint it one more time, one more time, one more time, and one more time. I'm doing it only this much only because the painting is 0.2. Otherwise I could set it to 0.7 and do it like in a single brush, but it's done already. Anyway, since we have it painted that much, we can do a smaller paint that will have less effect here from the side. I'm going to do it on this part only. So right now when the cow is going to be moving, there should be a slight deformation, and there is. The slight deformation needs to be stronger though. We have seen that O2 was not really effective, so let's do it like this. And let's see what will happen. Okay, that actually looks much better, but still not enough. Let's go to the red spectrum. Let's try it now. Okay, that looks better, but still not good enough, because if the cow will be moving, there is a probability that it will clip through. That's not really what we want, so let's paint it even more. Try now. No, it's still clipping visibly, so what we can do is set the deform to the weight to 0, and let's leave the strength at 0.2. Just go into the point view from above and let's depaint it a bit. And let's try moving it now. Okay, it seems like it's a bit better. Depaint one more time. Yeah, this seems much better. This can do. Okay, so back to object. Let's try now. Yeah, it looks fine. Kinda works. And right now, the attachment point. So from the knowledge of M2 files, we know that the attachment point for the mount is the 0 mount main. So right now, where is the attachment 0? There is none in here. That's kinda problematic. But we can make one anyway, so it won't matter too much. All we need to know right now is where the coordinates actually are. Press N to bring the location of the cursor that is right here. And I have it in metric, but we can go to the, I believe it was here in the scene, and there is units. Let's switch it to none for time being, but otherwise I would always be using metric. Anyway, let's click on the saddle from above, like right here, and it actually it went through. Anyway, I would like to have it somewhere here in this place. Yeah, that's much better point. Pretty good. The cursor is exactly in the middle of the saddle where I want it to be, and now I can actually copy the cursor values. So mount point, and the mount point value x is 0.00776, y is 0.02683, z value is 1.72694. Okay, one more, now a few more stuff that we actually need to take account of. If we are doing the particles, we will be assigning them to the bone as well, so I'm going to choose this bone in here. It's the bone 22, so let's take a note as well. Bone 22. Since the eye of the cow is actually somewhere here, I guess, I can take these coordinates too. So let's take a note. There we go. So now we have coordinates for the mount point and for the bone point. The attachment point needs to be actually a child of a bone too, and for that we are going to use the bone that is here in the middle. I just need to select it, and it's bone 002. So it would be just bone 2. Right now we can extract the M2, export, and there is did I exported the M2 correctly? Oh, I think I've overwritten the original M2I. Oh yeah, they are the same anyway, I've overwritten it. We won't need the object in here anymore, we won't also need any of this. Import cow1, reload go. These are just stuff that we don't need to bother about. And let's switch to LK. What I have done is using the Add Spartans Davenporter. It can be found here. It's the multi-converter that is on my repo. I'm just using the command line version, so it's much faster. Let's test the cow. All right. I'm going to TP myself somewhere sound and safe where I can actually do the tests. And there is the cow model. And as it seems, not the head or the saddle are in the correct position. This is clearly happening because of the rotation that is in these models. Yeah, there is the rotation x 90 degrees. This rotation is actually applied after the export, so it's rotated like this, meaning the saddle is in the ground, head is beneath the ground. You can just apply object transformations for location, rotation and scale, and do the same for the head as well. These values are now 0, so it should be fine. I'm actually bringing this thing just by pressing space, but in the other versions of Blender it may be different. I don't know what keybind have you choose for it. What you need to do is apply object transformations, so search for that function online if you don't know where it is in your version Blender, but I'm using settings from 2.79 where it's used by space. Anyway, right now we are able to proceed with the cow exporting once again. Export the cow, export it to the folder, +1, so we don't overwrite. I don't like overwriting because sometimes you need to go back to previous version a bit, and thus it's good to actually keep hold of the older versions. Anyway, we have made a new cow. Let's again convert it to the Wrath of the Lich King. I will throw it in my patch folder and let's test it. I do not need to put it into the mpq file because I'm using my exe file that is using the option to load local files, and there is no need to be loading it from the mpq. Anyway, saddle is in position, so is the head. That looks pretty good. But right now we also need to make the attachment point for the mount. From now on, I will be playing only here in the M2 itself. And as for the attachments, they are being handled over here. So, for example, here is the attachment chest, which is the attachment 8, and it's the ID 34. But the WoW works with the attachment the way that it knows that the attachment chest is 34, but it doesn't know which attachment it is in the M2. What it does, it will look into the attachment lookups, and there is 34, from 0, and he's just always looking into the 34, and the 34 lookup is pointing it to the attachment that is the chest, which is 8, and 8 is here, and that's the chest. The attachment point of the chest is at the 54, and its position is here, and then there are the animation data as well. Adding an attachment point to the M2 file is rather complicated because you need to kinda move the whole attachment point block to somewhere else, but it can be done quite easily anyway. The thing is, with these animation stuff, they are actually holding in the same place as they are, and the offsets to the animation or the translation data that could be in here are still on the same, pointing to the same location, so let's just don't move these. So right now I could select the whole block, see that it goes from here up to here. I'm going to jump to the end of the file and leave some empty space in here just for case, and let's insert it. What I'm going to do now is that I will go to the attachment 8, and I'm seeing that it goes from here to here, and copy it again, and once more jump to the end of file and insert it. So right now we have inserted the block with attachments to the end of file, but with one more attachment that is extra over there. Let's press the Ctrl G, and we can see here where we are, and Ctrl G have brought us this table, so we can just copy this stuff. And I mean, I can go to this location, but it won't help me because I need to copy it, but there is no option, so I'm just going to write it manually. 160916. Copy the number. And attachment points, okay, from going from 0 there is 9 of them, which means I can just go to the attachment points in here, attachments, let's go with 10 and insert the new offset value. Let's save the M2 and load it. Okay, we are getting some error somewhere, and we have passed a number of variable n values somewhere in the timestamps, which is kinda expected. And why did it happen? Because it's reading wrong data. It seems like I have copied the previous no, I have actually, I think I have copied the data incorrectly previously, so what we can do about it is just reverting animation offset and look up to previous data and load it again. Attachments, and let's try doing it again. The attachments are going from... yeah, they are. If I copy it like this and insert... oh, it works. Okay. Like this. Oh, I see, I have actually... I know what the error was. I have set the path to this position exactly, but I have been editing the zeros just to make the row complete, and I've started editing the attachments from here, so I have been the whole 4, 8, 12 bytes off the place where the attachments actually were. That was my mistake. Let's do the same by going Ctrl G. 160928. Okay. Now we can actually proceed with what I was doing previously. There is attachment 10, and offset to attachment should be this one. Load now, and no error happened, and there is okay, there it is. There is the 9th attachment that wasn't previously here, and it's actually set to bust, chest, blood, front, which is the attachment point that we are not going to use. We will switch it to the shield mount main item visual 0. The bone we have remembered from our text file is 2, so let's insert it in here. And right now we should also check the animation data. There are none, so it's fine, otherwise I will zero these as well, so it's not getting animated because we want to keep it static. The problem is right now the position. In WoW, the position is actually YXZ. In Blender, it's XYZ. So to make it WoW-like, we simply need to switch these two values. Now it's good. For the mount point, I will simply insert the data in here. Like this. Actually, now I have done a mistake, to be honest, because the location I have right now entered is relative to the global scene, which is a mistake. The values that you need to be inserting, I have realized it just right now, needs to be relative to the bone that we have attached it to. So, what can we do about it? Let's pick up a random attachment in here, duplicate it, and move around. Let's go into the settings of the attachment. It should be somewhere. There it is. There is the parent bone. Let's set it to parent bone number 2, and let's move it where we want it to be. The cursor is like in place pretty much right now. Let's just get it somewhere in here, like this, okay? Since the cursor is in place, we can just go Shift A. Oh no, it's Control A. What was the goddamn keybind? It's not the Shift A. It's not the. I mean, it does work like that in edit mode. No, it does not. What's the keybind for it? I have actually forgotten the keybind. Like, I actually use it quite often. Blender selection to cursor. That's something I want to use. It's a Control Shift Alt C. That doesn't seem to be right. They are saying Shift S. Let's try it. Oh yeah, it's Shift S. I have forgot about it. So let's go with Shift S and cursor to the selected. That would move it, but we want our cursor to be here, and selection to the cursor. That's what I wanted. Okay, so right now the attachment is in place. I mean, we could have moved it here manually by using G, but whoever cares. Okay, right now it's in place, and let's move it a bit up so there is some space in between, so it's not at least like extremely tight fit. But right now we can see that the location of the attachment in here is relative to the bone, so that's the location we need, and that's what are we going to copy right now. As I said, it goes like epsilon is the first value, X is the second, and Z is the third one. Now these are the correct values. And the animation are none, so we are fine. I can save this part, and now we also need to tell the WoW that the animation, sorry, not animation, that the attachment 0 has been edited. In lookup for 0 is actually set to -1 because the cow was not a mount at all, but now it can be used as a mount. So attachment 9 can be just inserted in here, and that's it. Now the WoW, when it will be looking for a way to actually use the cow as a mount, it will note that you will be supposed to be mounted on this position specifically, and that's it. We can do pretty much the same thing with the particles when I had them in here. Let's copy the. Let's just pretend I'm going to pose it somewhere here. Control S. And let's move it a bit to the side. And why am I even bothering with moving it anyway when oh, 22? Because the moment I will change the parent to 22, it will actually move to coordinates it used, but relative to the bone. So it was kinda useless what I was doing right now. Anyway, let's pause it again. Now we are somewhere. Okay, these values, let's copy it. So the X value is here, Epsilon value is here, Z value is here. That's what we are talking about. Right now we need to find an M2 file that has the fire in it. Torch could be good. That doesn't seem like it actually has particles, but I'm quite sure that it actually does. It's just that the WoW model viewer is not rendering them. I mean, I have show particles in here, but I'm not seeing any. Anyway, let's not care about it anyway. I'm quite sure that they are there. Export texture path, reserve, export all. Let's close the WoW model viewer and open the path where the WoW model viewer is. And in export in here there is an item, object, weapon, and the torch we have exported. Right now when I'm going to open it and have a look what's inside, can look at the particle emitters, and yes, there is one particle, so that's exactly what I wanted. Right now let's close the torch and let's just pick it up and throw into the same folder as the cow we have in here. And right now I'm going to use the particle cloner tool that is for download from model changing net, or also from my repo. So it's in M2 and there is the particle cloner. I'm going to copy it in here, and the way the particle cloner is actually used is that you first select the destination, and the second model that you are selecting is actually the source. It knows in which order you select it, so let's press Ctrl, select the cow as the destination and the source from where we are copying it, and let's just drag it over the particle cloner. Now it should have added the particles to the cow if it didn't fail, obviously. But it seems like nothing changed in here, so I'm kinda not sure if it worked or if it failed. Maybe to be more sure we can do it with git bash. Let's start the cmd file in this very folder, and the particle cloner with param of cow m2, and using club torch m2 as the source. Okay, so it loaded the cow, it loaded the torch, it created modulator 1, modulator 2, texture is 0, and save changes. I'm not actually seeing any changes, but it seems like it's saving changes to the oh, it actually used the torch. Okay, that's kind of weird, because I was under the impression that the torch is the source, but it seems that it's the other way around. Also, keep backup of these models when working with it, because it tends to override those models itself. So it's kind of good to keep the models around. Anyway, let's repeat the command, but let's switch the position of the club and cow. So the way we are using it right now is that first model should be the source and the second is the destination, if that's the way it works. Okay, it loaded the torch, it loaded the cow, it copied one texture, flame lick small, and the cow size increased. Okay, that's correct. Reload the cow, and let's reload the M2 template, and there is one more particle emitter right now. We can jump right into it. I'm going to close these, and there is our particle emitter. Right now, all of these are values that were copied from the torch. So we need to adjust it. In order to have the flame over the eye, we need to pose it correctly. Right now we can see that the bone it's using is bone 10, but we have already been in the blender and we know that we need to use bone 22. So let's change that value. It's also using texture 3, which is pretty much fine because it also added the texture 3. That's correct. Right now let's check the V model file name that it added it. There are some bongus value in here which is actually copied from the torch, and I'm not sure if we should keep it right now because sometimes it does some issue. In case of a failure, we can simply null these values in here because it's the file name. It should be actually a file path to model that the particles should be spawning, but we have none. So let's keep it for now. But if it's going to make issues, we can remove those stuff. Anyway, we have assigned the bone, but we also need to change the position that's in here in the float vertex. We have the values saved in here again. So epsilon first, x value second, z value third. Save the cow and let's see it in game. Yeah, it seems like the particle is wrong. It's kind of what I was saying, that there is the incorrect file name data. So let's try to actually just remove these for now and see what will happen if it's going to fix it. If not, then we can keep the file name data, but actually erase the insides of the data. But it seems like there was no need for it. It actually fixed itself. The problem right now is that the particle is actually on the ground and not on the bone 22. That's incorrect, and I have no idea why it's happening, but because we have set it to bone 22 in here, so I have missed something, as it seems. Let's look into it. The position is very slight, so it cannot be caused by these. That's just an emitter type. There are some other stuff. There are some other positions, but they are all 0. There is nothing going on here. And there is no translation anywhere. And I doubt some of these flags are actually editing these. Bone 22. It kinda depends if it's counting bones from 0 or not, but in any case it should not be happening. I maybe have a idea. Some of the bones in the M2 are actually meant to be purely visual, and they are not meant to be used as an attachment point for the particle. This is a theory that is proven by bone key lookup that is in here. So as long as the bone is not actually keyed, it won't work. And I'm not seeing 22 in here, so let's see which bone is keyed. Bone 14 here at the head is right here, so it can be used. That should be the cause. Let's use the bone 14. But if we are using the bone 14, we need to change the relation in here. Shift the cursor, move it, and we need to take this new data. Okay, this one, epsilon here, and z goes in here. Save it, and let's try it now. I believe that now it should work, because I have definitely used a bone that has not been keyed, and it could not work. Okay, now it seems like it's still not working. And it's also the more weird because it's on the wrong side. Okay, that's not right now. I'm really confused. Why it's not working at all? Actually, when I'm seeing the head, it seems like the flame is deformed by the bone correctly, but the way it's moving its head, maybe I have set the offset too far. Let's just null the values in here and see what will happen, because there is lots of playing around with these values needed. Okay, I see. Maybe, just maybe, the values of the position for the flame of the particles are not relative to the bone, but they are rather relative only to the global model, which would mean that right now I need to go shift the cursor and use values from the cursor itself. X. set epsilon. Let's give it a try and see what will happen now. And it seems like the theory was correct. For a funny reason, for a funny situation like this, it's actually reversed. Seems like even though I'm editing this side, it's on the other one. Maybe because I have set something to be negative. Well, it's the x value that defines if it's on the left side or right side. So, and the x value is actually the second one. So let's just let's just remove the negation that has been given to me by Blender and start it again to be 100% correct, because I would like to have it in correct place. Yeah, it seems like it's in correct place now. Right now, let's try something other. There is one particle emitter at this position, but I can also copy the whole block. It's pretty interesting that it was copied like right in the middle of model and not on in its into its end. But I will insert one, and then second. Okay. 1, 2. One, 6, 3, 4, 7, 2 is the offset. Let's say insert it here, and let's say that we want 2 of them, and try it. Okay, the particle emitters should be 2 now. And let's just change the negation here now. The particles are using same data, so there should be no problem with copying the particle like this whatsoever. And we should have cow with 2 flames right now, but instead of that we have the wow error, which is kinda interesting because I'm not sure what failed. We have not overwritten anything, but it seems like some of the relations used by these data are incorrect, which is causing the crash. But we could go through all of it and check if it's everything like correct, but that would be pretty much a suicide in terms of trying to go through it. So definitely particles can be cloned and copied all over the place in terms of from model to model, not copied in 010 structure. Something I have not tried yet is if actually you can, like do this process one more time. I'm kinda interested what would have happened. Reload. Particle emitter 1. Let's reload it. Particle emitter 1. Particle emitter. And boom is 10. Okay, so what happened here? It overwritten the particles. It's completely overwriting particles when you use it. It's not editing new ones. So that's the problem. Anyway, in this state, we have added the particles, the head, and the saddle. It's also usable as a mount right now because we have added the attachment for it. And that's pretty much all of it that we needed to do. Well, if there will be any future questions, feel free to ask. And right now I think it's all that was required.